talking about the flu with Missagh Manshadi from Manshadi Pharmacy. Thanks for being here, Missagh.
Hello, how are you?
I'm great. So we're entering that flu season right now. I know there's a few people that are starting to get some colds and things like that, but we want to talk a little bit with you about the difference between cold and flu, because I think sometimes people get a little bit confused.
Correct. So hopefully we will have slides that we can talk about how to differentiate between the cold and flu. I usually, as you know, how I look at it, if you have a body aches, severe body aches and pain,
that would be
considered flu.
Okay, well, let's
check it out.
Yeah, let's put our first slide up. This is symptoms of cold. So these are some of the things you might feel.
So definitely the fever is much rare. Headache is rare. You have aches and pain, but it usually is very mild. The fatigue is mild, and we don't usually see extreme fatigue in the cold.
Okay.
Yeah. And
so with a cold, you'd probably just see, you know, more of a runny nose or sneezing, things like that?
Absolutely. So you will see, again, as you mentioned, you see a runny nose, a sneezing, maybe sore throat. Sometimes we see common, it's common, sore throat is common, and chest congestion, and if there is a complication, it's usually sinus congestion, earache, and so forth. For the cold symptoms, usually you do not need to rush to your doctor.
Okay. And that's, I think, where people get a little bit confused, because I think that sometimes you can feel a few aches and pains and think, oh, goodness, I'm getting the flu. But in fact, you'll know if you get the flu, I think, right?
Yes.
Okay.
You feel like you've been hit by a truck.
Really?
You feel tired, and you will feel exhausted.
So we have symptoms of flu. Maybe we'll put these up for people that maybe looking, oh yeah, there you go. So it's big fever for sure.
Big fever, and it's usually sudden. We do see headache, we see, you know, aches and pains, and usually there is extreme fatigue presence with the influenza.
And it lasts quite a long time then?
Yes, it usually lasts sometimes 10 days, sometimes even longer. You know, sometimes, you know, we see in H1N1 even few weeks.
So what are we seeing with the strains of flu this year? I know it's different every year, Missagh. So what are we looking at this year?
So if we can bring it up on the, there is two, we need to differentiate that we usually have in the flu shots. There's two strains, right? There is influenza A and there is influenza B.
Okay.
And usually influenza A circulates both human as well as animals. So influenza A, both animals and human, and influenza B usually circulates among human. So just A stands for animals, B stands for humans. It's easy.
That is easy.
Right? So influenza A usually is much more severe, and influenza B is not as severe. So we have to, usually influenza B is already older adults have experienced it. And influenza A, which circulates both among human and animal, is something that it is kind of dangerous, severe, and we usually change it every year or so. That is something that I wanted to mention. Now, this year, if we can put it on the slide up, there is 4 strains, 2 A's and 2 B's on the flu shots, Michigan, Singapore, Phuket, and Colorado. So those are the ones that we see in the different flu shots.
So what did you bring here, Missagh? We have, is this what you would see in the flu shots then?
So what we have here, this is what Interior Health basically provided for us to give to individuals. This one here has all the 4 in it. So there's 2 A's and 2 B's. And we call it flu zone. This one here, which is called flu viral, and there is basically 2 A's and 1 B. And influenza, which is in here, again, we have 2 A's and 1 B.
Okay.
So those are the strains of the vaccines that we have available in the pharmacies. There are also extra strains available, but it's not funded by the government.
Okay.
But if someone wants it, we can bring it to their for them. We can bring it to the pharmacy and give it to them, and that would be more private.
Okay, so now is your chance to visit you at Manshadi Pharmacy. You will you give out the flu shot as well?
It's good to do it now because it's kind of takes 2 weeks before people get immune to it.
Right, so you don't want to be in the heart of flu season.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to do it. By the end of November, most people should get their flu shots done. There are other vaccines that is necessary for the people. So we will ask them when they come and see us to find out if they have done the other vaccines. And if they haven't, then we will give those ones as well too at the same time.
Okay. Great. Excellent. And of course, wash your hands and take preventative measures, right?
Exactly. Washing hand is good. You know, drinking water, exercising, healthy living, all of those things. But also flu shots, in my opinion, is also important, especially for the frail, especially people with the chronic conditions, especially pregnant women, especially people that they have autoimmune problem and compromised, so they should get it. So they don't. If they get the flu, and if it's the same one, hopefully they don't get it at all. And if it's a different flu that we have it in here, it would be less severe. So that's why we recommend it for this. Especially for this population to get their flu shots.
All right, great tips as always, Missagh. Thank you so much for being here. You can of course visit Missagh Manshadi and get your flu shot if you haven't already, or at least do so in the next few weeks. We're back in 2 minutes. Stay with us.